What's going on, guys? Black Scout Survival, and we're in the colder months of the year right now. And so I had a discussion with my uncle the other day, and he's a stud with SAR guy, search and rescue and stuff like that. And he was we were talking about this, and he actually brought up during his search and rescue training, one of the guys had made up this saying, and I loved it. And it's about knowledge transfer. I don't know the guy's name, or else I'd say it, but I love transferring knowledge about good things that I've heard. But he said that during the presentation, they were talking about layering your clothing, and stuff like that. So when you're looking at wilderness survival, cold weather survival, your first, the rule of threes, 3 hours in a harsh environment will take your life. Hypothermia, hypothermia, in hot environments as well. That's something you need to look at first. So your first line of defense against that is your shelter, and that comes down to your clothing first. You need to be prepared clothing-wise. So anyhow, what he said is, this guy was teaching his class, and he said wicky, warmy, wetty, and windy. So the 4 W's. And so we'll kind of go through that. And basically a lot of, about clothing is layering, how you layer your clothing. And in the Marine Corps, we learned that very early as far as our clothing systems they issued to us. And you don't really know why you're wearing it, but then you realize, they teach us a little bit on how to layer our clothing. And they say that, it's never bad weather, it's bad clothing. So when you look at, the 4 W's, the wiki, what that's talking about is your base layer. Now your base layer is the next to skin layer. And you want to use something that moves perspiration. That is the biggest thing as far as that. Anybody you talk to, moving the perspiration away from the body. And I got a few base layers here. Right here is a merino wool. I love merino wool. Now merino wool will move the perspiration into and absorb it into the material. So it'll hold the moisture, but wool will retain its like 80% of its warming value even when wet. So it'll move that, that moisture off your body. I like it. Merino wool feels good. It is expensive. This is a minus 33. I think I paid about $50 for the top, $50 for the bottom. And it's great stuff. I love it. Feels very good. It's not itchy. And I'll put links to all these below, but minus 33 is some of the best stuff that I've ever used. Now this is something, if moderate activity, you're outside. Now extreme movement, you want to have something that's like wicking. Now, like me and this actual uncle I'm talking about, we go to Montana quite a bit and snowmobile. I may wear something more like this, where I'm more active. Under Armour, this is actually my old military base layer. That's why you can see the tactical. I don't even know if they make this version anymore, but this is the cold layer. And this actually totally wicks the moisture away from your body. So it doesn't have, I guess, the warming value that something like minus 33 would. If you're bushcrafting and stuff, this may be, if you're doing an endurance hike, you may want to use something more like this, But if you sit and you start, staying docile, you could get cold with this. But it's very good for heavy movement. That's why I wore this in the Marines. Humping, it kept the moisture away from me. So good stuff as far as that. And they have different types of base layers. Like you can get different weights of base layers. So you can get, lightweight, midweight, and then expedition weight. They have even thicker merino wool, expedition weight type stuff as well for really cold environments. But base layers is something that's very important. Also the bottoms, I'm actually wearing my minus 33s right now. And then when you talk about socks, I wear icebreakers, smart wool and stuff like that. My feet never get cold. And I always wear wool on my feet because it's the furthest thing away from my heart, and the blood has to go further away. Also, like just an example, you guys probably felt this. If you ever worn a rain jacket with a cotton shirt, you probably felt clammy and terrible because the cotton held all that moisture. Even if you didn't get it wet, you got it wet from perspiration, So that's something you want to look at with base layers too. Cotton is a terrible base layer. The next W is warmy. So we're going to talk about the insulation you have. So like right now I got a fleece on. That's a good, synthetic warmy layer. This is a Prometheus Design Works. They make great stuff. I love Prometheus Design Works. This is a hoodie, And the good thing about the hoodie, now something like the quarter zip like this is you get hot, you can unzip it, let the, air come out. Now you'll see some guys wear the complete zip fleeces. I don't really like that because it lets a lot of air into. Now if you see this hoodie that Prometheus has, this is a lighter weight Polar Tech, but it doesn't have any zipper here or anything, so it keeps all that body heat in. It's not going to let it get out. So same with this. So if I'm really active, I can unzip this. Some people use that with their base layers too. They have a zipping base layer so they can let and get cool and regulate that temperature. So that's the main thing, is moisture management and regulating that temperature. You can also get different weights of Polar Tech. You have 100, 200, and then I think it's like an Extreme Pro or something like that. Polar Tech is really good fleece for synthetics. You can also use merino wool like sweaters and stuff like that. My good friend Jason Lester of Bushcraft makes the Boreal Shirt, which I will wear in real, cold environments if I'm not moving around a lot. It's real thick, 100% wool product. So you can also use wool as a warming layer. The best warming layer is a down insulator. Now I do have a Patagonia down jacket. The pros of that is they're highly compact. You can pack them down. The problem is that they lose insulation with, it's a goose down, so if it gets wet, totally loses insulation. The other thing is that you can't really be around a fire and stuff because you'll, melt it, or ember gets on, it'll totally destroy the jacket. So goose down is probably the best thing. If you put it over a shell over it, amazing warmth, because it's almost like wearing a sleeping bag. You got your fleece, which is a synthetic material. It's moderate when wet. I mean, I'm not going to say it totally loses it like some people, because I've been wet with fleece. It doesn't totally lose it, but it's kind of miserable. So if you think you're going to get wet, merino wool may be your better option. And you can wear merino wool sweaters. In the military back in the day, they used to have the old button-ups, and I think I have one somewhere, but it has the button-up wool sweater. It's not merino wool, but wool sweater you wear under, and it's very good insulator. So that's your warmie. The next thing we're going to be looking at is we got wicky, warmy, windy, and wetty. So windy, we need something that's going to stop that wind. And so this is a soft shell. You have soft shell and hard shell jackets. And the good thing about this is the layers you can take on and put on, take off and put on as you get warm or whatever. So this is going to have this has a DWR finish. It's not totally waterproof, but it will, some water will come off, but it is windproof, right? This one has a little bit of a fleece lining. A lot of them don't, but soft shells are good. They move around a lot. They're really quiet, great for hunting, great for military guys. So that's why this is a Multicam military style jacket. It doesn't make a lot of noise like a hard shell does. You'll hear a hard shell, especially you hunters. You want something like a soft shell thing. Now, when you're talking about wet conditions, you're going to want like something like a shell like this. This is a Mountain Hardware. The good thing about this is designed for backpacking, hiking, so it's really lightweight, really compact. See that Mountain Hardware there? Now this has a dry evaporation type cells in here, so it pushes out moisture management. That's what I like about this. I'll put this on with something like this and be really warm. It'll knock the wind off, and it's waterproof, okay? Now this is a pretty expensive jacket. I think it's $100 and some odd jacket. So not everybody can afford something like this, but it is good if you can. Highly compressible, highly packable, and it pushes that moisture away from you. And it's a lighter shell. Now North Face, makes ski jackets and stuff like a lot of these outdoor brands do, where you can zip in the fleece insulator. This one you just pair up with a fleece insulator, just put it over it. But that's a type of a rain shell, hard shell type deal. They, like I said, they do have tougher ones. And then you have old military poncho. Now the good thing about this is it's really open at the bottom, so you're going to get a lot of ventilation. You're not going to get sticky and feel gross like you may would with this and a cotton shirt. This is going to give the air to come up under and keep you dry, but or dry you out if you're perspiring, and this is going to keep you dry from the rain outside. So these things you can get really cheap now, but it's a great cheap option. It's really packable too, so you can put in your bug out bag, your truck, or whatever you're moving around. You can also use it as a ground tarp, so it has a lot of different options for that, and that's a wetty layer as well. Now this is a windy, and wetty option, and this is more of a just wetty option because it has, you know, the big opening in the bottom, so it's not going to protect you really well from wind. So you can also use it as a tarp setup as well. So back again real quick, just to cover, you know, snow is another issue that you may have, and you can get higher end mountaineering jackets if you're in deep snow, thick stuff. The problem is that they should allow some evaporation, but they're not going to allow a lot. That's why it's good to be able to unzip and stuff like that. Anorax, a lot of people will have as an outer shell. It's not really that good though, because you can't allow that evaporation. You can open this up and allow it instead of just trapping all that moisture in there. So let's remember again real quick the 4 W's, the wicky, warmy, windy, and wetty. Good tools to use, you know, to think about how you're layering. This is, you know, serious winter survival type stuff, and we'll try to do some more winter survival videos in the next few months as well while it's cold outside. So anyhow guys, hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching Black Sky Survival.